This might be the single most explosive moment of the Browns' season, and it happened right in front of everyone. After a brutal night where the offense collapsed and Dylan Gabriel couldn't stay upright, Jalen Ramsey didn't celebrate a sack like most defenders. He walked straight to the sideline, pointed at Kevin Stefanski, then pointed at Shedeur Sanders on the bench and loudly demanded one thing: put your best player in the game. That gesture, simple, brutal, impossible to ignore, landed like a knockout punch. Think about that for a second. An opposing pleasure, not a reporter, not a fan, not some anonymous analyst, publicly told a head coach to change his quarterback. On national television, in the middle of a game. It wasn't trash talk. It was a statement with teeth. Cameras froze on the moment. Social feeds lit up. Fans who had been simmering boiled over. Veterans who'd stayed quiet suddenly had permission to feel what they'd been thinking. What makes this worse for Cleveland isn't just the public humiliation. It's the credibility behind the call. Ramsey isn't a random critic. He's been mentored by Dawand Jones. He's a player other pros respect. When someone with that kind of standing points at your starter and says, "Bench him," it echoes inside locker rooms, front offices, and ownership suites. It turns a quarterback controversy into an organizational problem. And the irony? The spotlight was supposed to be on the pass rush, not on the coaching decisions. Instead, Ramsey's finger found the team's soft spot: a quarterback who's struggling, an offensive line underperforming, and a coaching staff making choices fans and players no longer trust. The moment didn't start a rumor. It confirmed one. The Browns' internal fracture is now public, and whoever is in charge is on notice. But that was only the beginning. What followed off the field? The leaks, the social reactions, and the front office whispers changed the story from a bad game to a full-scale crisis. Next, we'll break down exactly how that single gesture exploded into chaos and why it could cost someone their job. What happened on that field wasn't just another bad Browns moment. It was a turning point. Midway through the Steelers game, after sacking Dylan Gabriel for the second time, Jalen Ramsey stood up, turned toward the Browns sideline, and did something no one expected. He pointed straight at head coach Kevin Stefanski, then pointed at Shedeur Sanders and yelled, "Put him in the game!" The cameras caught everything. Within seconds, social media exploded. Fans were replaying the clip, lip-reading the words, and calling it the most disrespectful moment of the season. But here's the thing, it wasn't just disrespect, it was truth. Ramsey saw what everyone else saw. Gabriel was overwhelmed, the offense was broken, and the Browns were wasting their most talented quarterback. The reaction on the sideline said it all. Players tried to stay composed, but you could feel the energy shift. Some nodded, some stayed silent, but everyone heard it. That single moment didn't just expose a struggling quarterback, it exposed a franchise that's lost confidence in its direction. Ramsey's message wasn't about ego or showmanship. It was a warning. Keep ignoring what's obvious, and Cleveland's season might collapse before November. The moment Jalen Ramsey pointed at Kevin Stefanski and then at Shedeur Sanders spread like wildfire. And for good reason. Within minutes of it happening, cameras caught the gesture in full clarity. Ramsey, after sacking Dylan Gabriel for the second time, standing tall, looking directly at the Browns sideline, and demanding that Shedeur be put in the game. No words needed. The message was unmistakable. That brief clip hit social media before the game even ended. Fans clipped it, slowed it down, zoomed in, and filled Twitter and Reddit threads with one shared reaction. He really said it. But it didn't stop there. The story took off because it wasn't just another viral highlight. It symbolized what Browns fans had been screaming for weeks. Ramsey wasn't part of the team, but he voiced the frustration of an entire city. Within hours, hashtags like Start Shedeur and hashtag Bench Gabriel were trending across NFL circles. Sports talk shows ran the clip on loop. Even former players began weighing in, calling it one of the boldest things they'd ever seen on a football field. And that's what made it explode, the fact that it came from outside the locker room. When someone as respected as Jalen Ramsey publicly challenges a head coach mid-game, it forces the league to pay attention. It wasn't a meme, it was a message, and Cleveland couldn't ignore it anymore. Jalen Ramsey's on-field call-out wasn't just a fiery moment, it carried serious weight because of who said it. Ramsey isn't some loudmouth seeking attention. He's one of the most respected defensive backs in the NFL, mentored directly by Dawand "Primetime" Sanders himself. That connection changes everything. When a player like Ramsey, someone molded by Prime's philosophy, points at Shedeur Sanders and tells Kevin Stefanski to put him in, it's not just emotion, it's endorsement. It's validation from a player who understands greatness when he sees it. Inside NFL circles, Ramsey's words hold influence. Coaches respect him, players listen to him, and front offices know his opinion carries credibility. So when he calls out a coach during a live game, the message reverberates far beyond one sideline. It's like a signal to the rest of the league that something is broken in Cleveland, that the Browns are sitting on talent they've refused to unleash. And it's not just about Shedeur. Ramsey's message exposes the growing divide between Cleveland's locker room and its coaching staff. Players want to win, and they rally behind leadership and talent they believe in. When that belief starts coming from opponents instead of your own teammates, that's a huge red flag. Ramsey's gesture wasn't just showmanship. It was a wake-up call that echoed across the entire NFL. The real problem in Cleveland runs far deeper than just the quarterback position. It's about leadership, accountability, and direction. Kevin Stefanski has become the face of indecision, clinging to a system that clearly isn't working, while the locker room slowly loses faith. Players can sense when a coach is out of answers, and right now, that's exactly how it feels. Dillon Gabriel's struggles aren't just about bad throws or pressure from the defense. They're the result of a scheme that fails to adapt. The play calling is predictable. The protection is collapsing, and there's no rhythm or confidence left in the offense. But what makes it worse is the silence. Veterans like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy, players who should be speaking up, have stayed quiet while the frustration grows. That silence speaks volumes. You can only hide behind excuses for so long before a team begins to tune you out. And then there's Shedeur Sanders, the spark this team refuses to use. He represents hope, energy, and leadership. The fans see it, the players feel it, and now even opponents are calling it out. Cleveland's biggest issue isn't a lack of talent. It's the refusal to evolve. Until Stfansky stops protecting his pride and starts making bold decisions, the Browns will keep sinking under the weight of wasted potential. Inside the Browns locker room, the tension is becoming impossible to ignore. What Jalen Ramsey did on the field, pointing at Kevin Stefanski, then at Shedeur Sanders, didn't just send shockwaves through the fan base. It cracked open a conversation players were too afraid to start publicly. Veterans like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy, who were once vocal leaders, have grown noticeably quiet. That silence isn't loyalty, it's uncertainty. Players know something's off. They feel the disconnect between the coaching staff's decisions and the reality they face every Sunday. You can tell when a locker room starts to fracture. The body language changes. The post-game interviews turn robotic. And that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland. Younger players whisper about changes coming, while older veterans just stare at the floor. Ramsey's public gesture gave them permission to acknowledge what they've been thinking. This isn't working. Even more revealing, several Browns players reportedly liked and then quickly unliked posts about Ramsey's outburst, a subtle but telling sign of where their real feelings lie. Loyalty isn't to Stfansky anymore. It's to whoever gives them the best chance to win. And right now, that's Shedeur Sanders. In the NFL, locker rooms don't lie. Once players lose faith in the system, it's only a matter of time before they start demanding a new leader, on the field and off it. Behind the scenes, the pressure on Kevin Stefanski isn't just coming from fans or players, it's coming straight from the top. Sources inside the Browns organization suggest that Jimmy Haslam's patience has all but evaporated. The Browns owner, known for his fiery personality and win-now mentality, reportedly called an emergency meeting after the Steelers game. His message was simple: explain why Shedeur Sanders is still on the bench while the offense continues to crumble. Haslam has invested millions into rebuilding this team, only to watch it unravel under the same mistakes week after week. What's making things worse for Stfansky is that Haslam isn't alone. General manager Andrew Berry is feeling the heat too. Reports claim the front office is divided. Some want to give Gabriel one more chance, while others believe keeping Shedeur sidelined is a PR and football disaster waiting to happen. And Haslam? He's leaning heavily toward the latter. Insiders describe Haslam's mood as volatile, even questioning whether Stefanski's play calling and personnel decisions reflect the long-term vision he promised. The owner's trust is slipping, and in the NFL, once ownership doubts a coach's leadership, it's usually the beginning of the end. If the Browns lose again, especially to a team like Miami, don't be surprised if Haslam finally pulls the trigger and ushers in the Shedeur Sanders era once and for all. Statistically, the Browns' quarterback controversy isn't even close. Dillon Gabriel's numbers have been disastrous. 9 turnovers in 4 games, a completion rate barely above 54%, and an offense averaging just 12.5 points per week. For a team built around expensive contracts and veteran leadership, that kind of output isn't just disappointing, it's unacceptable. Every possession feels like a gamble, every drive a struggle just to cross midfield. Now compare that to Shedeur Sanders' preseason performance. 0 interceptions across 87 pass attempts, multiple touchdown drives against starting defenses, and a calm, commanding presence in the pocket that reminded fans of what a real franchise quarterback looks like. He didn't just manage games, he controlled them. Even opposing defenders admitted afterward that the rookie played like a veteran. Beyond the stats, the contrast in confidence is undeniable. Gabriel looks tentative, second-guessing reads, holding the ball too long. Shedeur? Poised, decisive, unshaken by pressure. Those differences show up on tape, in huddles, and now, in the locker room dynamic. At this point, numbers don't just tell a story, they scream one. The Browns' offense has hit rock bottom, and the solution isn't hiding in analytics. It's standing on the sideline wearing number 12, waiting for a chance. If Cleveland wants to salvage this season, the math is simple. Play Shedeur Sanders, or prepare for another wasted year. Kevin Stefanski is standing at a crossroads, one that could define his career. For weeks, he's defended Dillon Gabriel, insisting the young quarterback just needs time and patience. But patience doesn't win games in the NFL, and Cleveland's offense looks more lost with each passing week. Inside the locker room, players are starting to question if Stfansky even believes in his own system anymore. His press conferences sound rehearsed, his decisions predictable, and his sideline demeanor flat. That spark of leadership the Browns once believed in has dimmed. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders waits, calm, focused, ready. He's not demanding a start or anything. Stirring controversy, he's letting the situation speak for itself. Every snap Gabriel takes without progress makes Stefanski's choice harder to defend. And Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, is reportedly losing patience fast. Sources close to the team say Haslam's frustration has reached a breaking point, and whispers around the league suggest his trust in Stfansky is slipping. If the Dolphins game ends in another offensive meltdown, the writing may finally be on the wall. Haslam has never hesitated to make bold moves, and firing Stefanski could be his next one. The Browns don't just need a spark, they need a leader unafraid to make the right call. And right now, all signs point to Stfansky running out of time. The fan base in Cleveland is reaching a boiling point. Every week, the frustration grows louder, and it's no longer confined to social media. Stadium insiders say chants for "We want Shedeur" are getting harder to ignore, with pockets of fans already shouting it during home games. The media has caught on too, amplifying the noise. Talk shows, analysts, and former players are all asking the same question. How much longer can Kevin Stefanski ignore what's clearly unfolding in front of him? Cleveland fans are some of the most loyal in the league, but they've also endured decades of disappointment. They recognize when history is repeating itself, when a coach's stubbornness stands in the way of progress. The more Stfansky defends Dillon Gabriel, the more disconnected he looks from the fan base and the locker room. Each press conference feels like damage control rather than leadership. What's coming next feels inevitable. The moment Gabriel throws another costly interception or the offense stalls again, the fans won't hold back. The chants will echo through the stadium, the headlines will pile up, and ownership will feel the pressure to act. The shift towards Shedeur Sanders isn't just a possibility anymore, it's a movement. The city's ready for change, and the countdown has already begun. Cleveland stands on the edge of a breaking point. What began as quiet frustration has now turned into a full-blown quarterback revolution. Jalen Ramsey's viral call-out, Jimmy Haslam's growing impatience, and the fans' rising chants have all created a storm that Kevin Stefanski can no longer ignore. The locker room is divided, the media has turned, and every camera in the NFL is now pointed straight at Cleveland, waiting to see what happens next. For Stfansky, the next few games will decide everything. Stick with Dillon Gabriel and risk losing the locker room, the fans, and possibly his job. Or hand the keys to Shedeur Sanders, the young quarterback everyone believes could change the Browns' future. It's not just about one player anymore. It's about identity, leadership, and whether this franchise finally has the courage to evolve. One thing's for sure, the noise isn't dying down. Every throw, every play, every decision will be magnified. If Stfansky doesn't act soon, the decision might be taken out of his hands entirely, because in Cleveland, patience has officially run out. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below. Do you think Stfansky should finally start Shedeur Sanders, or is it already too late for the Browns to turn this season around?